Hello and welcome to episode 4 of
Podcast 4.
Podcast 4.
5.
But we're reviewing episode 5 because we had a double bill in the first one of our journey of Conquest, the HFP telecast. We go through the Mortal Kombat Conquest series episode by episode and we're kind of reviewing them. I'm Sam McKinstry.
I'm the Emperor.
And you're the Emperor, Tom Hinksman. And we're here to talk about the latest episode of Mortal Kombat Conquest. Shall we set out where the characters were when we last left?
Yeah, so when we last left, they were all chilling in the trading post, doing fuck all.
They were. They turned old and then went old. And Shang Tsung had a fight with Kung Lao. A whole filler episode basically had built up to a fight. And
it was shit.
It was a very disappointing fight, particularly from Shang Tsung's point of view. And we're back. So that's last week. Let's talk about this week's episode. First, overall, without spoilers, how did you feel about the episode?
I enjoyed most of the episode. I'm like most action things.
Yeah.
You tend to zone out during the story parts.
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat is becoming the opposite for me. I'm like, fight, alright, come back in 5 minutes. Play some game on phone. Yeah, still fine. Still fine. Cool.
I'm glad to see you're giving it the attention it deserves. The attention our listeners, all 6 of them, deserve.
Yeah.
You may have hit the nail on the head a bit about why I loved this episode. I loved this episode, but we'll come to that at the end. Shall we begin the journey through?
Yes.
So one thing I've noticed is there's a little bit of a kind of misogynistic theme running through. There was last week with the whole over-the-top sexualization and stuff. And this week, it began keeping that going very, very well. With a woman chained up being beaten and screaming by a masked fella. This is in like the demon bit of the Emperor's chamber. Outworld. The proper Outworld. Not the little dungeon thing that Shang Tsung's in, not the mine. The proper...
Yeah.
And the Emperor's there, played by the guy who plays Raiden, which is great, because I really like the Emperor too.
But with the Batman voice.
With Batman, I'm the Emperor.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
Occasionally he just sounds like Raiden.
Hence your introduction of, I am the Emperor. So we get screaming and torture, and mention of Kitana, who is an actual significant Mortal Kombat character, and there's a whole story to her that I don't really care about.
Yeah.
But she's an important character, and like... she inspired a complete generation of cosplay. I think Mortal Kombat gets underestimated in just how much cosplay in the 90s it really fucking inspired. In Kitana, there's a reason why like the most popular costumes are the ninja costume and the Kitana female boob tube thing, and there's a reason why like they had a series of characters that are just colour palette swaps of those 2 costumes, because they're fucking iconic, you know? So this woman is getting basically tortured with a flaming stick, a branding iron. Yeah. But they did it in such a way where what they were going for, right, is the film where it's behind the shoulder, suggested violence, does it touch or not? But what they ended up with was a slightly too far round pan that meant you clearly saw the branding iron came nowhere near this woman. But this woman was very good. I was very impressed with her acting, which is important because there was someone who was not as impressive. And then we got introduced to some character called Kali. And she was talking to the Emperor and sort of saying, Kitana, I'm trustworthy, da-da-da. Yeah. And the Emperor's... He had a great line, which is, I don't trust you. I always assume people are being treachery. I'm surprised by loyalty. Which is a very lonely life, but probably best if you're the fucking Emperor. And then this torturer person says... I believe her, she doesn't know anything, in a kind of Batman-y voice too. This torturer is like a robed figure, and then the Emperor sort of waves his hand and the torturer person pulls out a sword, and then in a very similar camera angle faux pas, we very clearly see the sword goes nowhere near her, but this woman is suggested to have been killed. Who she was, didn't even really get her name. And this character,
slave girl.
And this character Kali was like she was dressed in a hood and had like think like
hood and belts.
It was a bit like, you know, like the Arabian dresses you get in like sort of the timeless Disney version of Arabia. Is that kind of dress that she was in, I'd say. Cool. And then from there we transition to
I believe the sauna.
Yes, we transitioned to the sauna.
Yeah.
So
it's just Kung Lao Zero and Tasha.
Yep. They changed it. They did it. I was watching it. Again, they call her Tasha, they call her Tasha, depending on the fucking actor. Like, no wonder I'm confused with her. Yep.
Yeah.
In the sauna.
Yeah. Out.
Yeah, well, they're talking about how this nice woman's let them have a sauna and they only had to pay her a little bit and it's great. And this woman comes in and Zero is now fully on the train of I love all women, which is great for his character. I will take a character like that. And he's like, and she's like, anything else I can get you? And he goes, and Kung Lao's like, no, we're fine.
Well, now, his line, which I know what they were going for, but didn't really come across. So, can I get you anything? You can get me anything. It's kind of like, that doesn't sound as sexy as you're trying to be.
Yeah. Yeah, and then this woman leaves, and here I want to bring in two elements to the sauna that really stood out to me. One was a line by Zero, because one of the things they did in this sauna was they recounted everything that had happened, except the filler last episode. So they talked about how like there were guys who could freeze them, and there were guys who could fire chains out of their hands. And Zero said, I can't believe I'm saying any of this. None of that can happen. Despite the fact that he has been eyeball fucking witness to it, and previously in the last episode was aged horrifically, and then watched Tarja age as well. So he's like doing this whole cheery, I don't really believe that hurt, which would be fine if it was like there was any room for doubt with Zero's character, but he's been a part of it all. Do you know what I mean?
But it does give Kung Lao the next line of check your bruises, it happened.
Which is a good part. I'll leave a bit of the soda. Okay, right. We make films, good or bad as you want. How would we make people look sweaty?
Put water on them?
Yes, I imagine you'd get one of those spray things and spray them with a bit of water. What's the risk when you do that?
That they just look wet.
Yeah, too much water.
The inconsistencies.
Yes. So the way they're sat, right, is Tarja's like leaned on like her back in kind of a Greco-Roman pose, like her knees up, her arms on her knee. If you heard shuffling on the sofa, it's because I'm actually sitting in this position to show Tom. I can't show you visually, so you'll just have to. Tom will have to explain if he needs to the body form that I'm taking. And then Kung Lao is sat like in front of Tarja's, like with her legs behind him, one lower down, and Zero's like leaning against the wall, one lower down, and his like. Legs are pointing sort of towards Kung Lao, and to his shoulder is Tarja. Tarja had like slightly damp hair like around the fringe. Zero had slightly damp hair around the fringe. Kung Lao had slightly damp hair around the fringe. Tarja's legs were glistening. They were completely covered in water, which would be fine, but they were right behind Kung Lao's head. So like every Kung Lao line has these legs which are like literally dripping with water, glistening as if it's the sweatiest fucking sauna ever. But all the other elements of the characters were
his face is pretty much dry.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? I found that that might just be like a really filmy, picky little bullshit moment. But it was like it really got really like consistent sweat. Is that too much to ask? But this was a great episode, and the next section proves why. So the sauna, they're in the sauna, they talk, this woman came in, Zero flirted with her, left. How did the sauna bit end?
So I think Zero goes to try to check out the woman.
He goes to watch her, and he's basically stood there saying, she's so great, she's so attractive.
And then he realises that the door's locked.
Yeah, he's literally like, when he goes to look at her, she's got her hand in their coat through like these bars on a door, like a mini hatch. And he's still talking about, she's so great, she's so attractive. And he has a moment, hey!
She's rubbing us!
And then they all get up. And the sauna's locked. And she even, I don't think it was quite rubbing her hands with evil glee, but it was a proper, like, looking at what she's got and really over-the-top villain, which was fucking great. Then she ran off, and then Zero's going to kick the door. Yeah. And we then transition to...
It's Shao Tsung?
No, it was Kitana.
Kitana. Oh yeah, she's being talked to by the Emperor.
You're going to hear paper noise when you're listening to this, because I had to make a lot of notes, because this episode had a shit ton, and it moved around a lot. So we get Kitana, who is in the iconic Kitana uniform, minus the face covering, like, scarfing? What would you call that?
It's like a face scarf.
Face scarf thing. Thank you. That's it.
Close enough.
It's minus a face scarf
bandana, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah. And she's talking to this Callie character who was there when the woman was tortured, and they're basically saying about we have to get this thing back. They don't even say what the thing is at the minute. It's somewhere safe. It's in Earth realm. Blah 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 blah. And the Kitana actress, I haven't looked up her name, delivers every line monotone, every single line. Which some characters you want a monotone delivery, but this she's supposed to have this. She has the same level of emotion for the Emperor might kill us, we might die. To you're looking well today. Yeah. It's like the same level of fucking intensity, which is not. So nothing seems important. You know, like that became her. Like that's how she is through this entire episode. Basically, through this entire episode, she was monotone. There was no time she was not, and that really, really bugged me. But it was fine because it's Mortal Kombat Conquest, so it kind of worked. Bad acting really works in this thing. So we go from that to Shang Tsung, and we get a big reveal. The torturer at the beginning.
Well, see, I wasn't sure on this one.
Right.
The torturer may have been Vulpix.
Yes.
But some of the lines are like, it was definitely Vulpix, and other lines is like, no, Vulpix was just there watching.
Yes.
And
they had her pull the robe off that the torturer had been wearing to suggest it was her. Yeah. But then, the dialogue, I think like they weren't sure where they wanted to go, so they just kept it as like neutral as they could. But Vulpix, who's the assistant,
was involved in some way or another.
Was there. Yeah. And Shang Tsung and her are like talking. And basically Vulpix is saying like, oh, we could go to Earthrealm, we could do this, and Shang Tsung's like, yeah, you better, da da da. I'm not sure, was this the bit with the water bearer? I think it was. This might have come in later, but I'll say it now. So Vulpix and Shang Tsung are talking, and Vulpix is kind of like, the Emperor is like, I've got to be careful, the Emperor might be watching me, da da da. And Shang Tsung's like, no, the Emperor's watching me. Hey, you there, I need some water. And there's a guy handing out dishes of water to people in the mines. This guy walks up to Shang Tsung, and Shang Tsung just breaks his neck instantly, and Vulpix is like, nicely done. And he's like, yeah, he's one of the spies, he's there watching me. I'm going to stay here so they can watch me, you go, they're not really paying attention to you. And Vulpix kind of grins, and then Shang Tsung says to her, I love the Shang Tsung actor, he delivers this great line, which he's like, Vulpix is like, I'm really impressed by you, you're great, I want to serve you. And he goes, and here I thought you were helping because you cared to stay alive. And she's like,
no, that line comes at a different bit.
Oh, was that a different
still the
bit?
Great line that I was thinking of. With that bit, he's saying, at this point he knows about the essence, and she's like, he's like, I can buy my freedom with the essence. And he's like, oh, you're great, and does that bit, and then she says, I expect with the help I've given you, once you're free, you'll buy my freedom too. And that's the point where it's like, and here I thought,
yeah. Okay, cool. We then transition to Kitana and the Emperor again. Kitana's still completely monotone. And
the Emperor sometimes Raiden voice, sometimes Dark Knight voice.
And the Emperor's sort of saying like, I loved your mum, da da da, and you will serve me. Yeah. And Kitana's like, I'm your daughter, but I'm not a big fan, da da da. And the Emperor's like, but I love you, like I love your mum. And Kitana tells him, there's a portrait of my mother in the old room. Why don't you go enjoy yourself with it?
There's a portrait of me in my mother's old room.
Why don't you go enjoy yourself to it? Which is very like, why don't you just go wank over a picture of me? Like very. If it wasn't delivered monotone, I think that would be my favourite line ever. But it was, the monotone kind of hurt it a bit. But I thought it was a brilliant fucking line.
See, I think that line could have got away with being monotone if it wasn't for the fact that every other line was also monotone.
Yeah. And I think it's the Emperor like then turns to Kitana and says, even for you this is tedious, which I completely understand because Kitana is a very tedious monotone delivering character. And then, as I have to give credit here because this was a good line, well delivered, well paced, well everything, as Kitana's leaving, the Emperor sort of like hinted that there's like trouble and Kitana should not betray him. And as Kitana's leaving, he looks at her and he says, Kitana, and she turns and he just goes, it would be a great waste. And I love like subtext sentences and stuff, and the subtext of it'd be a great waste if I had to kill you I will kill you if you do this. I thought, well done. For once, Mortal Kombat Conquest, I had the writing. I was like, that line came together perfectly, and that's a good thing. So then we transition to Kitana and her Callie, her friend, her minion.
Yeah.
And she basically says, oh, I've got the essence thing. And then we hear that there's this thing called the essence.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's somewhere on Earthrealm. Where is it? And Callie knows Kung Lao's got it. Somehow.
No, she knows a guy who knows...
She knows Duran, a warrior on Earth who's given it to Kung Lao.
No. She knows that Duran has hidden it somewhere.
No, they say Kung Lao. She says a warrior called... trust me, she says a warrior called Kung Lao has it. Which is why we then get... they transition to Duran. And Duran tells them where Kung Lao is.
No, they don't. Duran has hidden it.
Right.
And when they go to Duran, they might mention Kung Lao, like just in conversation, but Duran tells them that Kung Lao can help them. Kung Lao has nothing to do with the essence at the moment.
Okay, because they mention... they're in Earthrealm, they definitely mention Kung Lao. Because
when they're in Earthrealm, they definitely do, because they're looking for him.
But in Outworld, they mention Kung Lao, and Kitana's like the champion of Earthrealm. I don't care about him. It goes Duran. Well, no, Duran's this warrior on Earth. I might have got that bit wrong if I ever have. Then they talk to Duran, and this Duran warrior's like, Kung Lao can help you. Da da da.
Yeah.
My job's done.
Trust Kung Lao.
Yeah, trust
He's
Kung Lao.
anyone you can trust.
My job's done. And she's like, you'll be killed now. Your job's done. And he's like, yeah, I'm okay with that. Yeah. Basically, he's an old guy in robes called Duran. I said there was a lot of bullshit.
My destiny's over.
Yeah, my destiny's over. Yeah. And then then you get Ciro and Tarja.
Yeah.
And Callie
is watching them.
Yeah. And there's this. Then she tries to steal. Like they're in the house and they catch her like stealing. Oh no, Tarja catches her. Sorry.
I think Tarja catches her.
Oh no!
She comes up behind Tarja.
We've missed the scene. So Tarja is in the house, but Ciro and Kung Lao are chasing after the woman who robbed them.
Yeah.
And they catch her.
Yeah.
And Ciro has hold of her as like stuff thief, and he's like, it's my turn to search her. And Kung Lao's like, no, I'm going to search her. And Ciro does the pervy sage from like Dragon Ball Z, like eyes wide, like, I want to search her. And Kung Lao's like, you search the next one. And Ciro's like, with any luck, it'll be an old man.
Ciro's like grabbing around, and Kung Lao's like, oh, I'm going to check her pockets. I don't think she's got any pocket. And then Ciro's like, I don't think she's got any pockets. Yeah, maybe I should search this one.
Proper pervy Ciro is fantastic. I will take that. Sorry, sip of water. It's a fucking warm day today. So then from that, we then get the Tarja and it's Callie, and that leads to a fight. Yeah,
Callie is an idiot,
right?
I guess.
Okay.
Because Callie just kind of attacks Tarja, and it's like, where's Kung Lao? As if she's like trying to kill Kung Lao, and Tarja's already had experience there, so Tarja's like, I'm going to kick the shit out of you.
Yeah.
And they have a fight.
They do. And this fight, Tarja's still got her ass kicked, basically, but she fought back. She's learning to take a beating. Yeah. That's character development. If someone gets hit in the face enough times that they can like hit back after they've been hit in the face, that's a developing character. Good for her. This fight, I don't know if this is, again, my filmmakery bullshit and it's not that important, but it really jarred for me. Every single time there was a punch or kick thrown, they would go to a close-up of the characters being hit face, and they would
at least with Tarja,
they would whip their head to the left or the right, and then an arm or a leg would very quickly, out of focus, come across the screen, and it was so like it was like there was a pause, like in the wide kind of general shots, you'd see this leg really quickly spinning, and then you go to a close-up, and there'd be like a second where the head turned before the hit came in.
For me, or at least all the ones I spotted, was Tarja. It was always her head whipped to the right, and I'm sure it was the same shot.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't like re-block it, oh, you're at this point and this thing. I think it was just the same shot. It was just one rush that they just
did one take of
over and over again.
So it jarred. It was like, I do respect though, this fight had incredibly good music. It was like, it still had the hype, but it had that kind of like funky 70s porn element to it as well. Like, I was like, this is fucking great. I would watch people have sex to this music. The fight, like, Tarja held her own more than she has, but still kind of lost. But then Kitana came. Carly even said, "You're finished," which is like, no, stop saying, like, kill them. Don't stop. This was Shang Tsung's problem. You don't talk. You kill the person. And then Kitana comes out, and again, monotone. I've searched. No one's here. Stop it, Carly. And then Kitana says the dumbest thing. She turns to Tarja and goes, "We're not here to hurt you." Which is what you say before you fight the person, not what you say afterwards. And Tarja's response is, she goes, "Yeah, right." And like she's still on the floor being held with this woman's fist up at that point. It's fucking great. Then Kung Lao and Zero return, and at this point there's a whole conversation.
Well, they're about to start fighting, and then Kitana says like, "Oh, Cal, you got the wrong end of the stick. We're not here to beat you up. It's fine." She's ignore that shit.
We have a series where every sentence mentions the essence. The essence. This became the MacGuffin of the episode. The essence. The essence. The essence. The essence. Do you want to talk more about this combo? Because I really zoned out.
So basically, this combo. I can't remember like the full lines. So there's no like outstanding lines. But basically, the gist of the combo was, we want Kung Lao to come help us, but we're not going to tell you why. You should just trust us. And obviously, they've had a lot of fights at this point, so Zero and Tarja are both like, no? Yeah. She's like, "Oh, it's fine." It's like, "Oh, it's 2-on-1, I don't think you should go with him." It's like, "Kali will stay here." "Oh, I will go."
Yeah.
Alright.
But it was more, it was like, we're not going to tell you why we're here. What I need to know is for the essence. What's the essence? I can't tell you what the essence is. Well, I can't help you if you don't tell me. Okay, the essence is something important, that's all I can tell you. Right, why should I trust you? Duran said I could trust you. Where's Duran? He's gone.
Yeah.
Where's he gone? Don't know. Well, I'm not doing anything till we see Duran.
Yeah.
We don't have time to go see Duran. No, we go and see Duran. Okay, but we have to be quick to see Duran.
Yeah.
We're going. No way, there's 2-on-1, we're not having it. Okay, only me and you will go. Okay, if you're trustworthy.
Yeah.
We have to do this for the essence. Let's go see Duran. It was like just the most convoluted way of getting to Kitana and Kung Lao. I zoned out because it was just so... Every character was saying something that would then instantly just... okay, so that bit happened. And then they find Duran.
Yeah.
He wasn't doing well.
No, he's dying.
Yeah, he's having that, like, where he's dying, but he's still able to talk at a regular pace, but with that, "I'm dying now."
And he's able to say, the essence and Kitana, or something like that.
Yeah.
That's like the only two things he says.
Yeah. And then we have the big reveal that Kitana is Shao Kahn's stepdaughter.
Yeah.
Which sends Kung Lao into a murderous rage.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Why didn't you tell me?" He's like, "Why didn't you tell me?" And she's like, "What would you do if I told you?" And he goes, "I would have tried to kill you on the spot."
Yeah.
And he's like, "That's probably a good reason why he didn't tell you."
Yeah.
We then get a fight, which, like this, I said the other fight had porno music. This was the porno music turned up to 11 of Kung Lao and Kitana having kind of a fight, but not really. Like, it started and I was really hyped for it, and then Kitana sort of did a backwards handstand thing and disappeared.
Yeah.
And that was that. And I was a bit disappointed. I was like, this looked like it would be really, really good. And instead Kung Lao's like, "Oh, she's gone. I'll just carry Duran out." So he's like, Kung Lao is carrying this... He was sort of in monk robes, dead guy, this Duran guy, just out. Then we get, like the Bechdel test? Right. So there are three things about the Bechdel test. If you don't know, sorry if this is really boring and convoluted. The Bechdel test is a very arbitrary test of, is your film moving towards good representations of female characters or not? And there's only three things. It must have more than two named female characters. Or named female characters. They must have a conversation. We had two female characters. We had Carly and Tarja in a room. They must have a conversation. We had that. The conversation must not be about a man.
Yeah.
Fuck the Bechdel test. It was just Carly saying to Tarja, "Oh, Zero, he's pretty attractive, isn't he?"
Yeah.
And Tarja goes, "No." She goes, "Whoa, you like Kung Lao then?" "No." "Whoa, you Earth Realmers, you're so sensitive." And then Tarja says, "I don't believe in that Out Realm stuff." And she's like, "Oh, it's real. It's real." And it's like, again, freezing guys, ice guys, you got aged by a witch. Like, not by a witch, but a witch.
Yeah.
But do you not think maybe you should just be a bit more open-minded? And then we go to the cobalt mines. and Vulpix returns and she doesn't have the essence, and Shang Tsung's like, where's the essence? And she's like, we couldn't find it, but Kitana and Kung Lao are fighting.
Yeah.
And Shang Tsung's like, excellent, they'll kill each other. And Vulpix is like, is she really that good? And Shang Tsung's like, Kitana is a formidable warrior. And then we get like, you know those lines that like aren't funny, but like there must have been one writer, like say there were 10 writers in a room here, there's one writer who like hadn't spoken up for a bit in this episode, and he was like, if I can put a joke in, I'm still justifying my paycheck. So Shang Tsung says her age will help her, and Vulpix is like, but isn't she my age? And he goes, no, she's 10,000 years old.
Yeah.
And Vulpix goes, I really must find out what her skin cream is. And it's like some writer somewhere was like in a room and they said, oh, she's 10,000 years old. What if we had a skin cream joke? And the whole rest of the room must have looked at this writer and realised like he or she hasn't really spoken much. It's probably a he in this scenario. It's 90s and the ways to... Let's just give him this one.
See, I actually, like, same result, but I actually pictured it as like you've got loads of writers in the room and like it's a really old guy that came up with that line. And like throughout, he's just been like saying really horrible like jokes.
Yeah.
And like because you've got like all the sexist, misogynistic stuff that's in there anyway. Like he's like trying to push it too far, and you're like no. And then he gets to that one, and it's like that's not too bad. Let's give it. It'll be fine.
Yeah. We had. I've had an experience of this sort of. You know, I worked for Channel 4. I was a runner on the games.
Yeah.
And you had there was a commentator who did the Channel 4 commentary, who was a very, very old guy, and he would constantly come in and suggest rewrites in like production wherever you were. So I was just a production runner, and it should have been to whoever, but it would be in the production meetings to whoever could hear while we were eating lunch or whatever, and it would constantly be something sexist or something really, really childish that he would suggest. And he ended up like he ended up suggesting a joke. It was Kirsty Gallagher. She ate a lot of baked beans, so he suggested they make a farting joke, and they put it in, and like after he'd left, like one of the higher up people who like was like, I don't want to put it in, but it's like the 50th thing he suggested. He's gonna just start getting pissy and drunk if we don't. So they like there are times when like even in TV they put things in just so that someone will shut up. I really like that idea. But anyway, so there's the skin cream, and then Shang Tsung looks at like and says like, as if Vulpix was an idiot, like, she's an Odinian, they live longer. Yeah. Which, like meant nothing, but I really like that Shang Tsung can be angry, dismissive, and cool all at once. Yeah. I don't know how much of that is to do with the fact that he looks so fucking awesome. He looks like every good bad guy in a martial arts film ever made. Yeah. And he's genuinely like, he's built in that way where he's like muscular enough that it's impressive, but like you're not sure how quick he's going to be, or if you'd see the kick coming. You know, it's like that Bruce Lee body where it's like you're pretty like intimidating, but it's what you might be able to do that's way scarier than how strong you look. Does that make sense? Like, so I really like that guy. We then get our like good guy Raiden. So Taja and Zero. Yeah, you love it. I love this scene. Like, it was so dumb. Like, this is when it's at its best. When it's a stupid moment. Take it, brother.
Right. So you've got Taja and Zero hanging out, and I think Zero realizes that the
Kali woman
is gone.
Yeah, she's staying with us, but somehow they did like
and they start sort of speculating. Oh, maybe like Kung Lao's in trouble and shit. It's like, oh, we need to find Kung Lao. And then like they talk about gods and like stuff. Oh, we don't really believe in gods. Blah blah blah. And they're like, oh well, Raiden would know where Kung Lao is.
Yeah.
Maybe. It's like, if he's all seeing, if he's apparently a god. It's like, well, if he's all seeing, maybe he's all hearing. And then Taishi's just there like,
Raiden,
we need you.
Raiden.
And he doesn't show up.
Yeah.
And then
Zero like chastises her. It's like, he's a god, he's not going to show up.
Yeah. And then she walks off, and then Zero just goes, Raiden?
Yeah.
Are you here?
But then he starts whispering like, Raiden, can you hear me? Like, maybe the point was told you was too loud. I loved it. Like, such a little unimportant scene. Can I just say, at this point, we're probably about halfway.
Yeah.
Like, all this shit was just like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
That's fucking great. So then we go straight, and it's a fucking chase.
Yeah.
It's Kitana and Kung Lao, and Kung Lao's chasing after Kitana, and Kitana's just running. Sorry. Kung Lao is running. He thinks he sees a flash of Kitana. He's not sure. He's just running. And then an arrow hits a tree.
It's a fan.
Oh, it's a fan. It's the classic Kitana fan. I'm absolutely idiot. The classic Kitana fan hits a tree. Kung Lao turns, and she's got some sort of like fiery device thing.
It's another fan, but it's closed.
But it's like, it's not like a fan like one of the open fans like what she used in Mortal Kombat. It's like a fucking whole thing. Like she's almost two-handing it. And she basically says, "Down to your knees. If I wanted to kill you, I could. I'm really disappointed in you." That's important for later, less than so now. I'm going to have to move the paper. We're on page 3 of my notes. Then they have a conversation, which again, like, I was turned off by Kitana's monotone, but it basically goes along the lines of, the essence really important, you're a hero, Duran told me I could trust you, I didn't kill Duran, yes, I'm Shao Kahn's stepdaughter, that doesn't mean that I'm a bad guy, my realm was killed.
That wasn't my choice.
I'm a warrior like you, I wanted to help my people, but they ended up destroyed and conquered. Only you can save us. Keep in mind that she just could have killed him if she wanted to, and she's chastised him for that. The essence can only be safe with you. Help me with the essence. And Kung Lao based his response is, okay, I'll help.
Yeah.
Like, he was a very good guy, Kung Lao. He always does that stuff. And then we get the essence. Would you like to describe what the essence was, or shall I describe it?
Was that part?
Okay, right. Not what was in... Right.
Yeah.
The essence, as we're led to believe, is a red bag hanging from a very thin string in a rock, like a hollowed out rock with a red bag hanging it.
Yeah.
It is the least impressive looking thing. This isn't even like a big bag or glowing or any effect. There wasn't even a sound effect, because I went back and watched it just to hear it. Like, we've been hearing about how all hellfire important the essence is, but it was the most unimportant, like, arbitrary, oh, it's just their thing.
Yeah.
Like, him hiding the essence, it wasn't even like you had to lift anything.
No.
It was literally just, I've hidden it by hanging it in a hollowed rock that you can clearly see.
Yeah.
Then Carly, the assistant who disappeared, was not after Kung Lao. She went to grab the essence. She takes the essence. Kung Lao kicks it out of her hand because he appears there. Is that the right order? I feel that's the right order.
Well, there's like a mini bit before where like Kitana's back with Zero and the other guy and saying that she didn't let Kali go and some shit. But that was unimportant. Is it Kali that takes the essence?
Mm-hmm. It is. She grabs the essence. Kung Lao basically kicks her away from her and challenges her. And she's like, I'm not a traitor, I'm da-da-da. And he's like, did you kill Duran? And then Kali says... Kali looks like... And then she goes, I did not kill him. And then you hear a voice from off camera. She's right. I did. And it's Vortex.
Yeah.
Just coming at the least opportune... Her enemies were about to fight and everything else. She just randomly decided that was the time. Like, at least in last week's episode, like, Vortex was all hiding and I'll just leave stuff. And
I couldn't beat Kung Lao on his own. Maybe I can beat them together.
Yeah. Yeah. And then... Oh, that's my stomach gone. This was a weird fight for me. We get, like, it's Vortex versus Kung Lao. Kali's sort of in the middle. I felt like it was going to be a three-way fight. But then Kali starts attacking Kung Lao, and then Vortex and Kali basically team up, and it becomes 2-on-1 against Kung Lao. But they still can't seem to hurt Kung Lao. Yeah. And again, we had the close-ups, the whip faces, and it was like, it was again, you know, those close-up things. Any more you want to say about the fight?
I pretty much zoned out during this fight. Like, it just went on.
Do you remember how the fight... It did go on. You remember I said we were halfway? This is what the second half of this episode was a lot slower down. Do you remember how the fight ended?
I know that what's he called now?
Shang Tsung.
Shang Tsung turns up.
Yeah, he just came up. He came in the middle of the fight. He just comes, grabs the essence. He's like, yeah, I got the essence, he then basically disappears. He doesn't really... he says to Kung Lao... Kung Lao's like, why are you laughing, Shang Tsung? You know you can't fight me until the next tournament. So I'm guessing there was a do-over from last week's episode. I
only waited the rights for half an hour, mate.
Yeah, I agreed to one fight and one fight only. Now the rules are restored type bullshit. So Shang Tsung's basically like, I don't need to, I've got the essence, jumps through a fire portal, and then Volpe's like, hey, wait for me. And does the most elaborate, like, two-handed Superman-style dive, and then the effect disappear. I do like the fiery portal effect. I think I said this in a previous episode. It looks good. It's a nice little circle of flame and fire. I was a bit disappointed at the essence, like, and the whole fight, and Shang Tsung. Like, if it had built to a Shang Tsung Kung Lao another fight with all the other characters and agents and what could have gone on, I thought it would be better. But I think maybe they were like, oh, we just have to get everyone back to where they were before type stuff. But it did feel a bit rushed this little bit. But any Kung Lao Shang Tsung scene is fun because they've really, like, with 5 episodes in, this is like their 4th confrontation. It's great. Then we get a sort of mix of different areas, but the most important one is Shang Tsung has the essence, this red bag, and then he's like, I have the essence. He reaches into the bag, and it's maggots. Yeah, he's just got maggots. And Volpe's like, it's maggots, and Shang Tsung's like, squeezing them, and then he's like, oh, I can't. She must have hidden the essence or stolen it from the Emperor. And then he's like, but I can't tell the Emperor because then he'll know I've left the mines. And then Volpe's like, what about her? And he's like, she can't go to the Emperor because then he'll know her betrayal. And then Volpex just grins and leans in and just goes, stalemate. It's an awful line. But the grin, the shit-eating grin on her face at the thought that he'd been outmatched to stalemate. I loved that. You also have Kitana telling Kali to go and say that, and tell the Emperor that Shao Tsung has destroyed it. And you have, after she fucks off, you have Kung Lao revealed that he has the essence. The whole time he had it. And Kitana, we're told she's gone, but then she wasn't gone. Because she just walks out and just goes, yeah, I knew you had the essence. And they have a conversation which is basically just smiling and joking and
Kung Lao's apparently suddenly falling in love with her.
It's like, I'd like to see you again. I hope we do. I go back. Yes. Goes away. And then Raiden really actually appears. Now this section, Shang Tsung in the mind, Kitana and Kung Lao's goodbye and Raiden's talk was 10 minutes. This was a quarter of the episode, and it felt long. This is the one bit of the episode that felt long. Raiden appears, and he basically talks about Kitana, and again, like, I think he didn't have any really good Raiden lines, but he's got like a cocky smirk, and he just like doesn't seem to care that he has the essence and stuff. And Kung Lao is like, what about Kitana? He goes, well, you're both warriors. It's just she lost. Which is interesting because Kung Lao is going to lose. But he talks in this like, she's whatever, you guys. Almost like a dad giving his blessing to, you guys would be great together. Imagine the kids type shit. And then we end on the Emperor. And we end with a heel turn. Yes. So we have Vortex. Who's a bad guy. Yes. She's Shang Tsung's like #1 in the mines. She's a bad guy. But then the Emperor's the real bad guy. And Vortex comes and turns up and basically just offers him sexual favours. It's basically the gist of the conversation. I was waiting in those mines until you needed me. She says, squeezes her boobs together, goes towards him, fluffy-eyed. And Shang Tsung, I'm spying on him for you, And the Emperor just sort of looks at her. He didn't really do anything. Weekending. He's like, but maybe you can be useful. I could be more useful than you think. So, and then we're out. And then we're done. And montage stuff. So, it was a fun episode that overall didn't drag. But whereas like the first 20 minutes probably felt like 5 minutes, the last 20 minutes felt like 30 minutes. Okay. So,
Yeah.
Fair enough. You said before about the fights are the things that are turning you off a bit.
Yeah.
I enjoy the fights from they're not well put together fights. Like they're not quite like the really dodgy like C action films you get. They're somewhat above that, but they're way below the standard of even a B action film because they're so jarring and they really don't follow up on their action very, very well.
To me, right, they're like a 90s.
Yeah.
A 90s B-movie director.
Yeah.
Trying to pull off a modern day fight scene.
They're quick. I'll give them like their pace is really good. If you go back and watch the original Mortal Kombat movie, which we might, the fights are all really, really slow. Yeah. Like they're really surprisingly slow when you watch them and compare them to even something like The Matrix, which had all the fast punching. This feels like it's trying for the fast punching and the impressive blocks and stuff, but it doesn't quite know how to pull it off. And also, I don't think it helps that they're using very small spaces for very wide kicking arcs and stuff. But the thing I love about it is it's the thing that last week I felt held it back is I don't like it when it focuses too much on me trying to have an emotional connection to the characters because I don't really have that. And I don't like it when it's trying to be too grandiose. Oh, you might die. Life is precious because it just isn't that show. Yeah. This was none of that. This was all bollocks and characters being dicks. Zero is a perv. Yeah. Terja is a defiant angry thief lady. We had the thief. Her one job was to look like she was top of the world because she'd stolen. She was sneakily when she stole the wallet. Shang Tsung got some lines. The Emperor got some great stuff. Kitana was totally monotone, but and I think they just cast badly or the actress wasn't comfortable. Whatever for whatever reason, it was not a good performance. But around all the other over the top performances, it just makes their performances look even more better and over the top, which is what I want in this. I love the nonsense storyline of this thing called the Essence, which is just in a red bag, and that's the driving force for everything. There were a lot of good confrontations, and at least even in the dodgy fights, you do get some great fucking tunes. Like, it's really 90s hype, and I'm really, really enjoying it. I loved it. I thought it was glorious nonsense this week. Like, loads of characters. The budget, they obviously saved from last week to spend more on actors this week, and they gave me a good rip-roaring time. It felt about its length in the end, but it was dragged down by that last 10 minutes. Yeah. If that last 10 minutes had, like, if they had extended maybe a bit more of the fights and bollocks and given me a really, cut those last 10 minutes down to 5 worth of conversations, or had one big Kitana, Kung Lao, Raiden, schmoz, and then gone, fine, but they didn't quite do that. Yeah. They didn't set up anything up for next week, which is the first time they've not really... I suppose you could say Vorpix's heel turn... heel turn to the Emperor is like that does set up future storylines, but they didn't really. Usually we've got a hint of the next warrior or something, but I loved it. I really, really enjoyed this one. It was fun. I had a lot of fun watching this one.
There's one bit that we didn't mention. It's going back. It's not a section of the film. We mentioned the section, but it's just one thing that I found hilarious. Right. When Kali and Kitana are on their way to Duran and they're walking through these things, the whole way through, like, Kitana's just relaxed walking through. But Kali's got this, like, weird stance going on the whole walk through. Like, it's like she's defending herself. It's almost like the Muay Thai stance. Yeah. Except for it's at body height. And she just walks around like this, like she's meant to be creeping. Like a little fucking T-Rex arms going on, like. I just find it hilarious because she keeps it up the whole way through. It's like, what are you doing?
At least she was consistent. Right, so there's that one. That's the Essence. We're done. Thank you very much, everyone who listens. All 6 of you. It's great. I'm actually really, really enjoying doing this. It's nice. I really enjoy this series. Good fucking 90s.
Let's see how it goes next week.
Right.
See you later.
Bye.